Hello, hello. So we are going to, first of all, let me address that we are in the kind of dark, and we're going to be talking about just this thing I thought of today at work because work was, work was very boring. Oh, not boring. It was just kind of slow, and I don't know what brought me to think about this, but I was thinking about um not per se haunted schools, but like haunted areas or could be haunted areas near where I live. And I thought about the school that my mom worked at rather, because she's retired now, called Flat Rock. And it's an elementary school located in DeKalb County, and it is named for what was the Flat Rock community. So you may be asking, okay, what does what is Flat Rock, like what, because a lot of elementary schools have names you attach to them. Normally they're like a person's name or something like that, but in Flat Rock's case it was named for the community in the area. And it's interesting because this area was populated, started, founded by former slaves in the surrounding farms and plantations in that area. And it's still very pretty over there. There's like a creek. I think that's a creek that runs near the school, and you can walk this trail. It's very, very pretty. But, you know, it being a town, people die. And they had to have somewhere to bury the people or inter the people. And it has been said by multiple sources that I know that they may have built the school on graves. And that's unnerving. That's terrifying. The reason is because we talked to some people when she was working there, and they were like, yeah, they uncovered like a few headstones, kind of, they said beyond the school grounds or in like the woods. And they think they think that they built the school on some of these graves. And things happen. So I first I was like, oh, y'all gotta be playing, until I researched the area, and it was a thriving town. Yeah. And also, this is not the first time that DeKalb County, Georgia has done some things like that. So there was a story in the news about this neighborhood, and if I remember correctly, the neighborhood used to be part of a historically black area and historically black church, and they essentially paved over these people, these people that were buried, and they actually went out there with this like it's like radar or sonar, and they found evidence of a cemetery and buried people. So, it makes you wonder, like, if this really happens. And see, the thing about it is, there were also stories from the staff, not ghost stories, but like they said that, like, the kids would act strangely. And initially I'm like, kids can be strange, but they said that these kids would have like fights. And at first too, I was like, well, again, it's a school, it's elementary school, kids are gonna fight. But they're like, no, like, kids that never had any problems, they were just breaking the fights. And it was just like, it would be like a week that these kids would like throw down. And that's when people began to suspect that something was going on. And I remember one of the staff members said, I bet it's the people that are buried under the school. And I was like, that's actually the first time I heard that. And I was like, wait, what? And they were like, yeah, it's probably the people buried underneath the school. And immediately I got to typing, and that's when I found out all the information about the community of Flat Rock and all of that. Because right now, now it's a residential community. There's subdivisions and homes and stuff. So it's still serving its purpose as a place to live, but it's no longer like a thriving town. So there were other instances where I would be in my mom's classroom by myself. Like she would go to, like, staff meetings. They're all about the staff meetings for teachers. And she said that, or rather not she, because she was in the meeting. I would be sitting there, writing, or cause I like to write, or just on the internet searching school approved websites because they do track you, and or reading simply, and I would always feel like someone was watching me. And this happened in her classroom, especially the classroom that was closest to, they have like a little courtyard in an area where kids can play on the playground. But this is where that would occur the most. So I would be sitting there, my back to the door and, the playground area, and it's like a glass wall essentially. And one day I would look back and no one would be there. And I've heard from many people, especially like people that are into the paranormal, if you suspect someone is watching you, especially from behind, there's usually someone watching you from behind or wherever you feel like someone's watching you from. And it would always feel like, because, at first I was like, well, there's classrooms across the way. Kids are over there usually doing, what was it? They would have like after school programs and stuff. But then I looked but it wasn't coming from that area. It was coming from the woods beyond the school, supposedly where the graves were. And that freaked me all the way out. I mean, it was so bad. Like, I was so glad when she moved from that classroom, because I would just be sitting there, and especially like in the fall time when it got dark early, and I would come to school because I was out of college, or like I was at that point where you have like school 2 times or class 2 times, like Monday, Tuesday, and then like you're off the rest of the week. So I would go home sometimes, but if money allowed. But yeah, so it was creepy, y'all. I mean, that school, like the whole school wasn't creepy, but it was just that, what was that? The first grade wing, which is where the wing she was on, because that's where she taught. I think it's first and second. That wing was unnerving to me. And this is the even worse part. This is a new school, obviously, if they built something on top of something. This is a brand new school. And even driving through there at night, because I remember one time, this is like a week after Black Panther came out, the first one. I had gone to see it with a friend, and I was on my way back. And I think there was traffic on the highway, so I cut through that area to get to where I live. And it was giving me like Sleepy Hollow, Ichabod Crane energy. And this is even with like my music going and, me driving and feeling good because I just seen Black Panther. It was just like someone sucked the energy out of the car. That was like, I could not get out of there any faster. And you gotta drive slowly there because there's like woods on both sides. There's deer, wildlife. Sometimes police like to hang out over there and like, check for speeding. So, yeah, it was so eerie. It was horrible eerie. Like I immediately, when I made that like cross into that area, I was just like, ugh. And there's an archive over there as well. And I wanted to check out the archive, but it's never opened, I don't think. Or it doesn't seem to be open a lot. But behind the archive, I've heard are graves. So, like, it's like, how big is this cemetery? Like, how big is this cemetery? And, what else is there? I've heard that people have found artifacts as well. And I think they've said they're at the archives, which is cool, from the time when it was a town, which would have been late 1800s or like right after the Civil War onward. But yeah, what a time to be alive. That's what I say. Yeah. Ugh. But yeah, that was my little sort of short video about Flat Rock and its surrounding area, and the fact that supposedly it is buried on top of people. Built on top of people. I'm gonna try to do more videos like this, by the way. Little low light thing. I call this Paint It Haint After Dark, even though, well, it's after dark now, but the sun was like well up into the sky when I looked out the window. Well, not up, but you know, it was still light out. So I will see you on the next video. On the next video, actually, I'm going to do a little promo. We are going to be talking about Honolulu, Hawaii. And I would say mostly Hawaii in general. Yeah, I found some really cool stories. There are some stories that were very memorable to me that I was like, I have to tell these stories on my channel. So that's what we're going to talk about on the next Paint It Haint. So you all have a good night, and I will see you on the next episode. Bye.